In 1997, 5 airlines banded together to create the Star Alliance, the world's first ever global airline union. The 5 points on the Star Alliance logo represented each of its founding members: Air Canada, Lufthansa, United, Thai Airways, and Scandinavian Airlines. 28 years later, Star Alliance has become the world's largest airline alliance by market share, hosting 25 member airlines. The only difference today is that one of its founding members is no longer there. Scandinavian Airlines departed Star Alliance on August 31, 2024, joining SkyTeam the following day as part of a financial restructuring. Since then, the carrier has seen massive improvements in connectivity, customer satisfaction, and operational efficiency. And lately, SAS has been offering some ridiculously cheap fares between the US and Europe. And if it isn't obvious by now, I took advantage of that opportunity. Today, we're flying Scandinavia's flagship, the Airbus A350-900, from Chicago to Copenhagen, a voyage that'll take around 7.5 hours. It's kind of a full circle moment for me, as not too long ago I covered the SAS transition from Star Alliance to SkyTeam on this channel, so it feels crazy to finally be flying on the airline. Now, just as a disclaimer, some parts of this video will feature flashing lights or related imagery, so if you are sensitive to those kind of images, then I strongly advise watching at your own risk. But overall, I have no idea what to expect from such a cheap ticket on Scandinavian, so without further delay, let's fly. It's Thanksgiving Day of 2025, and if there's one thing you should know about flying in the US on Thanksgiving Day, it's that not many people actually do it, as you can tell by how empty the shuttle is. This evening, we're departing from Terminal 5, which is usually the final stop for all hotel and parking garage shuttle buses. But because I was the only passenger, the driver went straight to T5. Scandinavian offers online check-in through their app, so by this point I was already checked in, but still made a visit to the check-in desks to get a physical boarding pass and also change my seat. More on that later. Given it's not busy at all today, I was done within 5 minutes. SAS participates in TSA PreCheck, but from my experience, I wasn't able to enter my known traveler number until online check-in. PreCheck was super easy too, and while many of the international carriers, especially the Middle Eastern ones, had busy flights, the rest of the terminal, especially on the domestic side, was absolutely deserted. Of course, airlines know that the general American public tends to stay home with family and friends on Thanksgiving Day and thus operate limited schedules. In contrast, they increase capacity for the day or two before and the Sunday after, since that's when the bulk of travel usually occurs. SAS offers multiple different fare options, and I booked the Go Light fare, which is the cheapest option. At least for long-haul tickets, the Go Light fare includes one free carry-on and personal item, and given I was only in Scandinavia for about 4 days, this was no issue. Now, if seat selection is important to you, Go Light tickets don't offer complimentary seat selection. You can either pay in advance to reserve a seat or be assigned one at check-in. For this flight, I was thankfully assigned a window seat, but for my connection to Stockholm, I was given the aisle, hence why I stopped at the check-in counter to request a window seat, which was granted. Terminal 5 has changed a little since my last trip from here back in January. The northwest wing of the terminal, which previously was entirely Delta, now sees a handful of gates being allocated to Southwest. Compared to its previous home in the T5 expansion, these new gates are a much shorter walk for Southwest customers flying out of O'Hare. This evening, we're on Scandinavian 944 to Copenhagen, Denmark, departing from gate M14. And for anybody confused upon seeing that Delta flight to Charlotte, that's actually a charter flight for the Chicago Bulls, who flew to Charlotte for their game against the Hornets. Now, for anyone who knows Terminal 5 well, you might recall that this right here used to be the SAS Lounge in Chicago. For what it's worth, I heard it was a terrible lounge, but still I was surprised to see it closed down and replaced by the Wingtips Lounge. Gate M14 sadly has no good view of the plane, so this is the best I could do. SAS being the flag carrier of Scandinavia means its aircraft carry either Norwegian, Swedish, or Danish registrations, with the A350s all having Swedish registrations, but this is a topic we'll cover further in the next video. Owing to Scandinavian culture, SAS names each of its aircraft after Vikings, and our A350 is named Ingeborg Viking after Ingeborg of Norway, who I believe was a 14th century Norwegian princess. I saw this exact aircraft over 2 years ago, and back then SAS was still part of Star Alliance with no plans to leave. However, in the years leading up to its departure, SAS was constantly facing financial struggles, even filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in July 2022. This had huge impacts on its operations and service, and I remember back in the summer of 2023 when SAS was facing an aircraft shortage, it wet leased a high-fly A330 to operate the Chicago-Copenhagen route. Just a few months later, SAS announced it would leave Star Alliance and prepare to join SkyTeam the following year. This came as part of a massive financial restructuring plan with new investors like the Danish government and Air France-KLM Group commanding significant stakes. Now, of course, Air France-KLM are SkyTeam members, and with the group taking a strong 19.99% stake in SAS, the airline had to shift over to SkyTeam because it made the most sense from a business perspective. While it was unfortunate to see Star Alliance lose one of its founding members, it had to be done to ensure that SAS could survive. And I guess it is a good thing that the Lufthansa Group didn't get their hands on SAS, but that's a whole nother discussion that I don't want to get into. This A350 just came in from Munich, and I didn't know at the time, but this Qatar Airways 777, originally bound for Doha, ended up diverting to Munich because of a medical emergency. Going off the whole Thanksgiving travel theme, tonight's flight was largely empty, with all passengers having either an open middle seat or entire rows to themselves. SAS boards in zones 1 through 5, with most standard economy passengers boarding in groups 3 and 4. SAS operates a fleet of 4 A350-900s, and these aircraft seat 300 passengers with 41 2-1 configured business class seats, 32 premium economy seats in a 242, and 228 economy seats in a standard 333. I'll be in the very last row of the aircraft in seat 55A. With fabric covers, adjustable headrests, and provided pillows and blankets, I was very comfortable here. The seatback features a large entertainment screen with a headphone jack and USB-A port, which serves as the only in-seat power. There's a literature shelf, a bifold tray table, and 2 seat pockets, and I really appreciate how all passengers are provided full-size water bottles upon boarding. That's not something I've seen very often, especially in economy class. The seat pitch is a decent 31 inches, and with such a light load, everyone had lots of space to stretch out. The seats also have coat hooks, which come in quite handy, especially at this time of year, and while there are overhead reading lights, there are no personal air vents. Now here's something about SAS that I could never figure out, but hopefully someone could enlighten me. Announcements are made in both English and a particular Scandinavian language, but I could never tell which one it was. Because we're flying to Denmark, I assume it was Danish, but I have also heard that it depends on where the crew members are from. Which makes me wonder, Norwegian, Swedish, and Danish are similar, but of course not the same. So do all crew members speak one specific agreed upon language on board, or how does that work?
All doors are marked with green exit signs. Emergency lighting along the aisles will help you find your way. The doors are open by moving the hand.
Perhaps the one thing I was most curious about leading up to this flight was the onboard service, especially considering SAS had implemented many cost-cutting measures during its restructuring days. First of all, complimentary amenity kits are not offered in economy class but are available for $8. More importantly, in terms of food, long-haul flights have one hot meal service and one hot pre-landing snack, which is pretty much the standard for transatlantic flights. Unfortunately, the only difference on SAS is that there's only one choice of dish per meal. Tonight, the only main choice for dinner was beef stew with mashed potatoes, carrots, and Brussels sprouts, served alongside a salad, warm bread roll, a cinnamon cake for dessert, and I had apple juice to drink. Overall, it was a good meal, though I didn't really enjoy the salad. But this is the thing about SAS, unlike other airlines, I didn't see any complimentary special meal pre-order options online, so if you are a vegetarian or have other dietary restrictions, your only alternative, aside from bringing your own food, would be to pre-order their $29 premium meals, which have a lot more variety. I got around 3 to 4 hours of broken sleep, but still I felt pretty good given the A350 has better air quality and a lower pressurized cabin altitude compared to older wide-body aircraft. I also want to highlight that the recline on these seats is actually really good. Even though I'm in the last row, I was able to fully recline and got some decent rest out of it. It definitely helped a little bit, especially considering the guy in front of me was also fully reclined. About an hour before landing, a hot snack was served consisting of an egg and cheese sandwich and orange juice. Also throughout the flight, including now, there were multiple water, tea, or coffee services for passengers that wanted them.
Good morning from the cockpit, it's the captain. We have approximately 45 minutes until landing, and that's well ahead of our scheduled time. Weather at the airport is overcast, temperature now is 47 Fahrenheit. And I will call you back 20 minutes before landing to remind you about to fasten the seatbelts. Thank you.
Our approach into Copenhagen this morning brought us over much of Denmark's capital region before turning base over the Øresund and landing on Kastrup Airport's runway 22 left.
Velkommen her til København, hvor klokken nu er 10 minutter i 10 om morgenen. Af sikkerhedsmæssige hensyn, så skal vi bede dig om at holde sikkerhedsbæltet fastspændt, holde flugtveje fri for håndbagage.
I booked a multi-city ticket with SAS flying into Stockholm and out from Oslo for just under $475. That's even cheaper than what you'll find for some domestic tickets in the US and Canada, so for that price, SAS provided a fantastic value for money. I normally travel with just my backpack and carry-on, so the Go Light fare met my needs perfectly. Of course, if you care about seat selection, you will have to pay for it with this fare class, with long-haul flight reservations being $25 or so at their cheapest, and short-haul flights around $10. I didn't pre-reserve any of my seats for this trip, which ended up being a bad decision for the return journey, which you'll see in a future video. In terms of service, the crew and onboard product were amazing, with the only real downside being a very limited complimentary food offering, especially for those with dietary restrictions. Now, while I have flown the A350 before, that was just on a 2-hour flight between Karachi and Doha. This was my first long haul on the A350 and I absolutely loved it. I can't wait to fly this aircraft again. Arrival into Copenhagen this morning was pretty straightforward, with passport control taking around 25 minutes. And with our flight arriving 30 minutes early, I had around 4 hours to spend here before my connecting flight to Stockholm. We'll pick up from here in the next video, so until then, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all again very soon.